So, good day, everyone. We're here for another episode of the DVD show. So, for today, we have a former UE Red Warrior, and he's now a current rookie of the Rainer Shine Elasto Painters and the PBA. And he also formerly played for the Cal State Stanislaus. I don't know how to
Yep.
pronounce it in California before transferring to UE. So I'll now welcome here on the DVD show Luis Villegas. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So to begin, I'd want to ask how you've been doing now. I mean, you all know that you're gonna miss the whole conference of the Commissioner's Cup because of your knee injury. So how's the recovery like for you? And what have you been doing also off the court now that you're not playing yet in the court? And what other hobbies do you have now? What keeps you busy?
Yeah, it's going well. The injury's progressing how we thought it would. Considering the timeline, I think we're a little bit ahead of track. We're starting to run now without any pain, so that's a good sign of, what we're doing is going in the right direction. So everything's going well, and hobbies outside of basketball right now would just have to be, playing, just more like hanging out with the team, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm actually not on the court with them. I can't have that with them. I try to do stuff off the court with them, so we kind of build that relationship too. But no, everything's going well.
Yeah, I have interviewed several of the Rain or Shine players actually, and I want to know what you guys do to like hang out since most of you guys are like fresh grads from like UAP, NCAA, and you all have like what similar, like age groups as you say.
hmm
So the interest level is it like similar as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one thing we do a lot together, I would say, is play Fortnite.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
kind of, it's a little
Yeah.
weird, but like we like it. We enjoy talking with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we work well as a team. You can see it on the game, and then hopefully it'll translate, on the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, little stuff like that that just, we can just joke around and have fun and just build that togetherness, I would say.
Mm-hmm. How about with your timeline with the knee injury you mentioned? What's your expected timeline? Like, can you play at some point in the Philippine Cup, or are you gonna play like next year already?
Yeah, so I think they said I would be back in January, and that's a good timeline
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I'll be back. So considering when this conference ends, it'll be around January too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll be back in time for the next conference, which is the All Filipino one.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's our date right now. We talked about maybe pushing it if we qualify for playoffs to see, but at the same time, it's like, we want to be cautious and not push it too
Mm-hmm.
much right now. So I think all Filipino right now is the goal.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm excited to see you play. Like your style of play fits perfectly, I think, in the PBA with the versatile big, and I think you'll get a lot of minutes in Rain or Shine right away because they do not have a lot of like big men. Like some of their big men got traded or they moved teams already.
hmm
So yeah, I think you'll get a lot of playing time. But talking about your injury, is that your first like major injury also like in your career?
Yeah, so at Stanislaw, and that was a good job on pronouncing that. I know that was probably hard.
Okay, yeah.
At Stanislaw, the first year that I was there, I had a similar injury where I sprained my ACL and my MCL.
Mm-hmm.
So that sent me out a year, but no surgery. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the difference with this one was, I fully tore this one and I had surgery. So it
Mm-hmm.
was my first time really like recovering, from surgery, and it was a lot. I would say it's the same, but it's a little different because you're just it's a different process physically. Mentally, I would say it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, it's just a whole different ball game when you actually have surgery.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately I haven't like experienced anything like that. So yeah, hopefully that continues. But even the pronunciation, I just kind of guessed that. I didn't even like search it up or anything. So yeah, good thing I got it. I got it right. But talking about yeah the injury now, The did you ever have like any mental struggles that some players have when they have an injury? I mean, you're still young, you still have like a lot of years to play, but I've had guys players here also that they had a lot of difficult time when they were injured, especially let's say you got injured in the pandemic or something
Hmm.
because you're not stuck at home. So for you, did you ever have that, or did you always have like a bright mindset, like optimistic mindset?
I tried. I tried to have that optimistic mindset, but I would say the biggest thing mentally was being away from home. Being away from my
Um,
family, and
mhm,
having that support system behind me. But um, thankfully, I've been on teams where they were able to replicate that to a certain degree. I when
mhm.
I got hurt, I was playing with TNT 3x3, and
Yes.
they were very supportive,
Mhm,
through it all. Text messaging me and asking me if I was okay, coming to see me every once in a while. Um, and the good thing is, I was able to talk to them as openly as I
mhm,
wanted to, and they were able to listen.
mhm,
And also, while doing my rehab with TNT, I got a lot of mentorship from a lot of the 5-on-5 guys like Matt,
mhm.
Ryan Reyes, Kelly Williams, JP. They all came up to me and were
Mhm.
just kind of encouraging me, because they've gone through similar injuries, and they're like, hey, like, you're young, you got
Mhm.
a good head on your shoulders, like, stick through it, you'll be okay, you'll come out feeling stronger. But that the one thing that they all kind of concisely said was the hardest thing is the mental part.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah.
one thing that it's gonna be tested with you, and that's the one thing that you're gonna have to battle. So it's been great, even with the people that I have now with Rain or Shine.
Mhm.
Watching practice, it's not fun.
Yeah,
I
it's
want to
not.
be
Yeah.
out there, but
Yeah.
they do a good job of including me in conversations and keeping me up to date with plays and what they see and this and that. So it's been a blessing to have these people in my life.
Yeah, that's great for you that you were able to get into the terrific culture or set foundation. Because not, yeah, all the teams or not all the groups that you've played have that kind of character. But you mentioned also your family is in like the US, I think. Are you the
Hmm.
only one here from your relatives, or you have relatives here but they're like not, you're not that close to them?
Yeah, I have relatives here, but I'm not that close with them. I
Mhm.
came here when I was 5. And the last time I came to the Philippines, the next time I came to the Philippines after I was 5 was when I was 25. So 20 years of not seeing them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love them. They're my family. They're in Cavite.
Mm-hmm.
I try to see them every once in a while. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I do have some form of family out here, so I'm not completely alone.
Yeah, that's incredible also that you have some sort of support system and you're keeping in touch with them even
Hmm.
if you're not that close to them, so eventually you might be able to get close to them. But talking about Rain or Shine and your family and Rain or Shine, I wanted to ask, did you already feel that you were going to get drafted by Rain or Shine after like the pre-draft workouts, or like the like you did participate like in the draft workouts in the combine? But I don't know if you went there, like you'd see all the GMs and the coaches there. So did you hear like murmurs that you were gonna go to Rain or Shine despite you being injured and not participating? What did you hear coming
Yeah,
into the
so
camp?
I actually didn't go to any of the practices.
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
I didn't. The only practice that did go see was Blackwater, and they had the second
Mm.
pick. So that
Mm-hmm.
was on my mind. But once I went to the combine to go watch, I talked to Coach Yang, and
Okay.
there we kind of like established like, okay, they're interested, and it's a good thing. Like, they're pushing for me. But my agent always told me, he was like, hey, you might go number 2, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, Rainer China is 3 and 4, so that's most likely where you're gonna go.
Okay.
Um, and it's a draft; anything can happen. I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to be set. I didn't want to have my have high hopes that I was gonna go to Rain or Shine and then it not happening. But everything worked out like how it did, and I can't be. I'm extremely happy how things went.
Yeah, talking about Coach Yang, he mentioned, I think, in an interview that you're a high character guy, and that's one trait that attracted him to get you at number three. So why would you say that you have a high character, and where did that stem from also? Because that's not only an overnight thing that you have a high character from a coach like Yang Yao.
Yeah, it was amazing to hear him say that, especially his pedigree of being an amazing coach, in the PBA. And I would say it's just the type of person that I am on and off the court. There's not really a difference, it's just that's how I usually live my life.
Mhm.
Um, I care for my family and I care for my team.
Mhm.
Anything that they need on or off the court, I'm going to be there for them. And basketball is such a beautiful game, and
Mhm.
sometimes people play it a different way that's kind of taking away the beauty. And I like seeing, the relationship side and the camaraderie side of it, that, you're gonna build friends for lifetimes.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, it all started with my mom. She was my first coach, so she taught me how to be a good teammate and just do things for the team that little things like saying good job or a certain high five can change a whole dynamic
Yeah.
of the game.
Mhm.
So that's where it all stemmed from.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's true. That the moms also really do have a when their children are doing well. It's really majority of it's because of the parents, or yeah, their mom, because they do impart the lessons to us at a young age. So talking about
Definitely.
rain or shine, what's like a couple of observations you've seen from the team as you've started the conference now? And I've seen like the game against, what's that, the first game, I think, Meralco. Yeah, I saw that
Hmm.
game. So what have you seen in the team? Like maybe points of improvement and also the strengths that you see from Rain or Shine.
Yeah, some points of improvement. I think we haven't found our groove yet.
Mhm.
I think we're still kind of finding it within ourselves. I mean, practices are going really well. I think just translating it onto the game is where we're having a little bit of trouble. But that just comes with playing a couple more games and finding it, and it coming naturally. But one strength that I did see is the type of people that we have on our team. There
Mhm.
there isn't one selfish player on our team. We all want to win. We all know what the goal is, and we're all
Mhm.
willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So I think that the type of people that we have is a big strength for us, because we like playing our bench. We
Mhm.
all trust each other, and we know we're gonna need everyone, to get to where we want to, win a championship eventually. So, everyone's got a good head on their shoulders, and there isn't like a click over here and a click over
Mhm.
there. Like everyone meshes really well with each other. So that's a big strength that I see in our team.
Yeah, talking about, yeah, your Rain or Shine with a full of young guys, and you also have a ton of upside. And what would you say to be like a team that's rebuilding, like Rain or Shine, with a lot of young guys? And of course, there
Mhm.
are pains in it, like there's losing, and there's players who also might get dealt. Like I'm one of the Nieto twins, Mike Nieto, was in Rain or Shine before, and he moved on to Converge. So it's kind of tough when you're still rebuilding. So in a team like this, what would the coaches tell you guys, or what would you tell like your teammates in order for them to remain patient and have the positive mindset? Because in a rebuilding team, anything, in the NBA also, like it can go
Mhm.
haywire anytime.
Yeah. I would say, we came this far because we know how to do our job well,
Mm-hmm.
and at this point we got to be professional, and we know the business, we know what's at stake, we know what can happen. But at the end of the day, we have a job, and that's what we come in every day to do. So we all know we're in the same boat. Anything can happen. But the main thing is just focusing on that job ahead of us, and you know, worrying about the rest of the stuff later.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, Rain or Shine starts winning again. I enjoyed it when they were surprising like the powerhouses in the PBA during like the
Yeah.
2015 season, 2016, like those years.
Mhm.
They were the underdog, and it was fun to watch them. It would be entertaining with like Bo Belga and all the
Mhm.
skirmishes, like the be physical with the team, and the star
Yeah.
players that got ejected that have an upper hand. It would be fun to watched them before when I was like in my teenage years. But for the
Mm.
next segment of the interview, I want to learn more about your upbringing and childhood because I usually make my guests elaborate on that since not a lot of people know about that in like the interviews you have in like the media after the games and these things. So yeah, I'd wanna ask you, where did you grow up? Like you grew up in the States, but where specifically, and what were your like daily activities when you were a kid? Because was basketball like your first love, or did you do other things as well?
Yeah, so I grew up in San Diego, California. I was
Mm-hmm.
there all my life. That's where I grew up. I moved around a lot, but San Diego was always home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, we are a very sporty family. My
Oh,
mom
okay,
played.
okay.
My mom played in high school. She played what volleyball, track, softball, and basketball.
It's a lot.
Yeah, she was a lot.
Yeah.
My dad is Mexican. He's from Mexico. He played basketball and had a really good career
Okay.
where in his little city that he's from. So all my uncles were very athletic. All my cousins were very athletic, and a normal day for me as a kid was um, basketball practice one day and going to soccer the next day, and then
Yeah.
weekends was a battle because we had to go to one basketball game, then go to a soccer game, then
Yeah.
back to a basketball game, and just that whole process. Um, but I would say basketball is the first sport that I really loved because that's how my mom and my dad met. My dad was
Oh,
a
okay.
referee and my mom was a player, and that's how they kind of
Wow,
met.
it's a
So it
unique
was in
story.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. It was meant to
Yeah.
be.
Mhm.
But it's something that I picked up naturally. But I also put in a lot of work to get to where I'm at today. Um, but yeah, no, basketball was always the first sport that I ever played. I think I started playing, what, 5 years old. I was already playing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So playing at like 5 years old, like at a young age, should was how were like the tournaments or like the leagues like, or is it more of like clinics? How does it work like in the States for you to continue like getting better and getting the reps at that age?
yeah. In the States, I would say we played a lot of tournaments against people our age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as I got a little bit older, I didn't stay in my age group. I kind of played a little bit up so I can,
Oh, okay.
my level can,
Yeah.
continue to grow, but still being at this age. Um, Yeah, it was very organized. Seeing here how certain stuff is played out, I'm like, wow, it's very different in the States. It's very,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's very highly saturated, I would say, with a lot of good players and a lot of good talent. So either you stand out or you don't, and
Oh,
it's one of those things where you're kind of working towards every day. So
yeah.
there was always that hunger and grind. Like even as a little kid, you're waking up 6 a.m. before school to, go shoot and, after school you're at practice trying to get better. So um, yeah, it was very different in the States, but I mean, it made me who I am today, and it got me here, so can't be mad at it.
Yeah, playing in the States at that age, what was your vision? Like, were you just playing basketball, like, for fun as a varsity player, like, when you were reaching your teenage years? Or do you have that vision of playing, like, an NCAA Division One, NBA, or NBA G League? Like, what were your aspirations at that age before you actually, like, you considered moving here to the Philippines?
Yeah, so my aspirations was to play at a high level. Obviously, that was the goal, but at the same time, to use basketball as a tool to get a free education.
Mm, okay, yeah.
That was the main goal within our family because we didn't come from a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to stand out in basketball and have the opportunity to have your college paid for was like the ultimate goal, because your bachelor's is good, you got something to fall back on. Anything
Mm-hmm.
after is just a plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that was ingrained in me as a little kid to, get a scholarship to, yeah, you want to go to where you want to go, but at the end of the day, life, hits you and you just got to deal with it. And so the ultimate goal really was to get a free education. Yeah.
Yeah, when did you start getting like a free education? Like was that high school, college? When did you start getting this scholarship?
So I went unscouted all throughout high school, and then my senior year I got picked up by I got interest from a NAIA school in San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and they were gonna pay for the free education, like the education was gonna be paid for. That
Mm-hmm.
was gonna be covered.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first one, and then I went after that year. I transferred to a junior college where you don't really have to pay.
Oh, okay.
It's more of a community college, and you can just
Mm-hmm.
go there and just go to school there. But I went there with the sole purpose of getting another scholarship somewhere else.
Oh, okay, nice.
Um, so that was the plan, and sure enough, and it ended up happening. We had a good year, and I was able to get scouted a little bit better, and that's where I was able to get a scholarship to Stanislaus, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, finish out my career there. Yeah, before moving out here.
Okay, okay. How about your approach to the game or like your style of play? Like all of us have different style. Like I played different when I was in grade school compared to like high school. So for you, what was your transition? Like when you started like a very young age, of course, like there's no like system that much yet or like plays, and then it starts to get more serious or intense when you reach high school and
Hmm.
college. How did you expand your repertoire? Like evaluate your game at that level and continuing to become a force for your school, even if you kept moving from like high school to college.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I see um, is tendencies, just trying to pick up on not even the other people, just my own teammates.
Okay.
Where they like shooting, what hand do they like driving best at? If I set a screen here, are you gonna snake through it or are you gonna come off of it
Yeah.
hard?
Yeah.
Um, and just being a good teammate, that goes a long way when you're bouncing around like that so much. But I would say the one constant that I bring to any team that I'm on is I'm very defensive minded. A lot of I've been ingrained with the saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so that was always my thing. And defense is such a gritty part of the game. Like no one, a lot of people don't like playing defense; they just like
Yeah.
scoring. But to me, it's like it excites me to stop someone or
Yeah.
make an important play that gets someone else open or stuff like
Yeah.
that. So just little things that add up to the big things. I would say is the
Mhm.
tendencies that I tend to bring.
Yeah. How did that start? Like the mindset of being more selfless or being team oriented, doing the dirty work like defense and passing, screening. Like was that like ever since, or was that a part in your life that you remember wherein you shifted your mindset?
I would say I was very blessed to have a person who um, put me in teams with very good people.
Mm-hmm.
People who understood the game of basketball and understood what it took to win. So I
Mm-hmm.
was always playing with like-minded people as myself, and all we wanted to do was win. So we
Mm-hmm.
didn't care what it took. We didn't care if all we had to do was play defense for that game, or we're all just playing offense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was always it became a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Every game, it was just let's win. What are we gonna do? What are the tendencies? And let's get there.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely been blessed to have the young teammates that I've had, and even these teammates now.
Yeah. How about with the kind of player that you are? You're like selfless, and as you know, not all the players are like that. Like now, if you watch like the Los Angeles Clippers, there's an adjustment period. Like all of them are used to being star players, and
Hmm.
now they don't know how to adjust being the third fiddle or like the fourth guy on the team. So for teams struggling to have that connector, like that Swiss Army knife, willing to do the dirty work, like what would you tell players who aren't willing? Because they say that it will be difficult to adjust since you're used to playing a style of being a number one scorer, or since you're in
Hmm.
grade school, you're the top player, high school, and when you reach college, you need to be like in the system. So how do you advise like teenagers or like young adults that wanna be successful at the level like yours, that they need that they need to like that they could adjust to have that kind of success in your level?
Yeah, I would think just letting go of your pride a little bit.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we all want to be scorers. We all want to be that person averaging 30 a game.
Yeah.
But sometimes that the team doesn't need that. Sometimes the
Yeah.
team needs a person who will do the little things, and sometimes it goes unnoticed, and it's a hard job. Don't get me wrong. Um, you don't get the spotlight sometimes, but
Yeah.
you do get that um, acknowledgement from your teammates because they know, like, without you, like it would be a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more of a self internal kind of understanding of wanting to do the best for the team. Sometimes it's putting the team ahead of yourself, I would say. So I think that's the best advice that I could give.
Oh yeah. Hopefully, like I want like more players actually. That's why I like players like that, like Gabe Norwood, like the players were willing to do the other stuff that won't get the
Definitely.
limelight. You won't be on House of Highlights or
Yeah.
like on Instagram stories or on TikTok after the game. But then if you
Yeah.
watch like film, you'd see that they contributed a lot to your victory or something. So
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully more players uh, become like that here in the Philippines. But talking about your move to here to the Philippines, I read in an article that you moved here because of Phil-Am Nation Select. I think like their connections with them. So
hmm
how did you like discover them, or how do you know that they were a group that could actually make players play here in the Philippines? Because you were in San Diego, like I said, are they like people there that's why you were able to connect with them?
Yeah. So my longtime teammate since I was a kid and high school teammate, we played together in high school, was Nico Peronata.
Yeah.
Um, and he was playing at UE at the time. And after I graduated in the States at Stanislaus with my degree, he hit me up and was like, "Hey, like Philippines, you still have one more year technically as a
Mhm.
graduate player." And I was like, "Okay, like so, how does that process work?" And they were already under Philab Nation, so they were the ones who connected
Oh,
me with
okay.
them, and then everything was ran through them, and everything worked out. Um, but I think my connection to the Perenata family is really what prompted me to come out here, because it's a hard decision to leave your family,
Mm-hmm.
and travel halfway across the world by yourself. But um, the Perinatas are family to me, so it wasn't that much of a difficult decision to make. And my family back home supported that too. They know, we're all pretty close with the Perinatas, so it was an easy decision at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. So when you were gonna move to the Philippines, was it like UE your primary like choice, or did you try out other schools as well? Because the Lam Nation, I'm pretty sure they have other connections as well to other schools, and but then sila Nico and Kyle were already in UE. So was their like
hmm
top priority, and the others you just tried it that maybe, but then UE talaga yung you wanted to play there talaga.
Uh, No, and no one had contacted me besides the Perinatas. And
Oh, okay.
to be completely honest, I wasn't gonna go anywhere else except with Yui and the Perinatas. You know,
Oh, okay.
that wasn't even a question in my mind. I didn't know the landscape. I didn't know how everything worked, but trusting the Perinatas was the main thing that got me to Yui. Um, I was supposed to come out here at a high school um, in 2016. Franz Pomarian was actually scouting me when he was at
Mm-hmm.
Adamson.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Jack was an assistant coach at the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how he was like, hey, like we still remember you. I'm a head coach at
Oh,
UE
okay.
now. Like,
Yeah.
like maybe we can work. And then everything worked out.
Oh, okay. But you didn't go here in 2016 because you were like more comfortable with like the US and you were still younger. Maybe
Yeah, I
why
mean,
did you decide not to come here?
I would say it was a hard jump for me at the time, being so young,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
to leave my family completely. I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't mature enough to do it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing in our mind was getting an education in the States first. Um,
Okay.
so although it was a great option, we understood like, hey, like this could be something. We didn't want to derail ourselves from the main goal, which was to get an education in the States first.
What's your degree when you graduate?
So I got a minor in communications and a bachelor's degree in business administration and operations management.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's a lot of letters or like words that yeah you
Yeah.
utilize for sure after you play basketball. You can do so, or even while playing. Like why not have a business on the side
Yeah.
while playing? So yeah, it's
Hopefully
great.
something in sports still, something that will help contribute to, the community or something. That's ultimately what I wanna do.
Do you have like plans already, or like is it vague yet, or nothing specific, particular?
Um, I have some plans in mind. Yeah, definitely stuff back home first, and then maybe do something here.
Hmm.
Um, but it's still in the mind. Not really on pen and paper yet.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, moving here to the Philippines, and you heard the basket when you heard Nico tell you about the Philippines. Did you know already about like the basketball landscape here? That there's like a professional league, there's like two collegiate leagues, and since you finished your degree already, did you ever like consider playing pro already? Because you already finished it, why would you still go to like collegiate?
hmm So I didn't know the landscape at all. I knew there was a professional league out here.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't know how versatile the league was.
Oh.
Um, I didn't know there was two, NCAA and
Hmm.
UAP.
Hmm.
Nico was kind of the one to tell me like, hey, like UAP is the league, is the best one. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, like I want to play in that one. Like we're in that one. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it was cool learning everything. I think after a couple wins, Paul Lee came into our locker room
Hmm.
because he's a former UE player, and all the players were like, "Oh man, like that's Paul Lee," and
Hmm.
I'm looking at him like, "Oh, okay, like
Yeah.
I don't know who he is,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
But as I did my research and as I got to talk to him, and I figured out like, okay, like he's a big deal,
Yeah.
like he's that good of a
Superstar.
player that
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And now we have a good relationship. I told him that same day too. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. It seems like you're a big deal, but I just don't know who you are." He's like, "It's okay. You will soon." And I was like, "All
Yeah.
right. Like, it's good to know."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it really intrigued me how much Filipinos love basketball out here, and
Hmm.
the culture around basketball. So when I came out here, I was very excited to see it, and it was beyond anything I could ever imagine.
Hmm.
We even talk about it at practice. Me, Mamu, Anton,
Hmm.
Sean. We talk about UAP. Like the
Yeah.
atmosphere, the environment, how much we like miss it
Yeah.
sometimes. How much, the certain communities that are around you, and just the effect that it has on the community. So. It's a beautiful thing, to really see as a basketball player how much it brings a lot of people together.
Yeah. And when you played in the UAAP and UE, did they recruit you like late already, or like was it the season almost starting already? So was that difficult? Because I think you committed like July or something, and then wasn't the opening like September?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. It was tough because you just had to make that decision quick. I remember when I first came out here, um, we were playing in
Phil Oil?
not Phil Oil exactly. Yeah, it was the day that I landed. The next day was their last game.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I'm jet lagged. I just got here, but they're like, all right, who's the coach? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name right now? He's coaching Phoenix right now, Coach Mike.
Jamaica, yeah.
Joe Mike was still on staff, and Coach Jack was away in the U.S. on business. So Joe Mike coached me on my first game here, and he was like, "All right, you ready? Like you're going in?" I was like, "Right now?" He's like, "Yeah, like come on." And I was like, "All right, bet, like let's go."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it was quick, but it was meant to be. I'm happy that the locals embrace me how they did. I know it's not easy having someone from the States come in and, have that, take away some positions. But, as they got to know me as a person, I think they understood like, hey, like if I have to sit and let you guys go, I'm willing to do that as long as we win.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're some of my best friends that I am gonna carry for forever. So
Yes.
um, it was quick, but it was an easy transition once I got here.
Yeah. How was the first game? I think you guys were against Perpetual, and of course there's I don't know if you knew like a lot of Tagalog words already. Most of them would speak Filipino, and then the weather,
Yeah,
like you play in the U.S. and here, like get tired after a few possessions only. You barely make
yeah,
mistakes, I assume, because you just got here, and then the time difference also. So, how
yeah.
did you play? Like, why did they even make you play? Also,
I wanted to at the end of the day. Like
oh, okay.
the one thing that I came out here was, UE was going to be a test for me to see if I could play professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in already with the mindset of let's act professional now and treat this as a job like how
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be in the future. So that's
Mm-hmm.
basically how we went. As soon as I landed, it's go time. The job starts. And
Yeah.
there was some difficulties, but there's always going to be that wherever you go. It's how you
Mm-hmm.
address it and how you push through that determines who you are. And thankfully, like I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of teammates tell me like, all right, we're drawing up plays right before the game, and they're telling me like, bro, just stand here and then just set a screen and then pop. And I was like, all right, I'm good at that, so let me just do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was the mindset, I would say, helped me out a lot when I first got here.
Okay, yeah, that's terrific that you were successful right away. Because, like, for instance, LaSalle, we also got one and done players pre-pandemic. It's only Jamie
Mm,
Malonzo that did well, and James Slapwood and Keyshawn Meeker. They had a difficult time adjusting right away because we got them late also. But for you, I
yeah.
think I don't know what was the key in fast tracking. Like, I know you'd say like you have great teammates as well. I mean, LaSalle also had great teammates, but for you, why do you think you bought in right away and you were the key cog of the team. You were a Mythical 5 member also, and maybe it was a plus that they didn't see you play like a previous year. They didn't see you play in another league here in the Philippines, and
Hmm.
your arsenal was fantastic at for the collegiate level.
Um, I would just say the versatility that I brought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a positionless player, as I like to put it. I can play everything except the one. I can
Mm-hmm.
I can guard the guards. I can play big. I can play down low. So anything that the team needs, I'm willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the one thing that helped me. I'm always gonna harp on it was just the locals. Like the way they embrace me and just push me to do better ahead of themselves. m- Put put that weight on my like they put that weight on my shoulders, and I knew like I could carry it for them.
Mm-hmm.
We carried it together. At the end of the day, we're all playing the same game. um but there was times where they were like, all right, Luke, like you need to go, and I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
like let's go.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I would say that about them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, playing in like a UAP scene with your terrific teammates, as you'd mentioned, and they helped you a lot. How about with the crowd? Like, did you ever play in front of a crowd like the UAP or something similar?
um No, I've never played in that type of environment, especially such a loving community. The season that they had before, they were winless, so it
Mm-hmm.
was very. When I got to campus, you can tell it was a little, like dark. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like kind of this shadow looming over us.
Mm-hmm.
But once we started to get wins, we can see like the environment changing on campus. Like people
Mm-hmm.
were happy, people were excited to go to games and hang out with their friends, or go eat and then go to the game. And it was amazing that we were able to provide that for them while also doing what we love.
Yeah.
Um, but the UE community, man, they're something special.
Mm-hmm.
They're loyal through and through, and even now in my PBA career, I still get a ton of PBA UE supporters that are telling me like, hey, like fellow
Good
UE
luck.
warrior here, like good luck, good,
Yeah.
we're watching you and we're so proud of you. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's something very special that I always hold dear.
Yeah, that's also fantastic that you're able to, appreciate like the fans and still play despite the fans, the distractions. Also, like there's positives and negatives with a high
Hmm.
audience rating or viewership of the UAAP. But then that's great that you were able to adjust right away to the style of play. But how about with the opponents that you had? Like, how was it playing against the players here compared to the ones in the States? I'm pretty sure you know that the physicality is different. You mentioned already the
Hmm.
versatility in the UAAP, the skill level of guys like Tamayo for sure.
Hmm.
You caught your eye right away. So how was that part of your adjustment?
It was it was different. I kind of got the sense playing in practice how, Filipinos play, but playing against, they're very skilled.
Mm-hmm.
But playing against these different schools, you get to see how skilled other Filipinos are. They're not just any players in the UAAP teams. It's
Yeah.
the best of the best here in this country. And, you can tell. Um, but it was fun. It was fun playing against them, and although we are competitive and sometimes get into it in the game, after it's always like we know we're in this league and we're almost in the same position, so we're very supportive of each other. At the end of the day, yeah, like one person that stands out to me who was a really nice dude on and off the court was Malik Duke from
Mm.
UP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, he always mentioned to me like, "Hey, I like the way you play." While we're at the free throw line, I'm about to box him out, and he's like, "Yeah, I like the way you play. Like that was a good pass." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. The Phillips brothers, they're always good people.
Yes.
Um, Kevin Kimball, although we didn't really get to talk much, we understood like, "Hey, you're a good player. I'm a good player. Like,
Yeah.
I hope you do well."
Mhm.
So just little understandings like that made it just so much better to play against these guys. It was really fun.
Yeah. Did any player try to like hit you hard or something just because they thought that you're like new in the league, you weren't familiar, or did no one do that?
Uh, I mean, I would say some people did, but I couldn't remember their names.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to
It's
mention them, but then I'm just curious
yeah,
if you saw it. You didn't see it coming, then someone just ran into you or something.
yeah. No, it was expected. The parent analyst told me like, hey, just know Philams aren't liked out here. Like it's something like that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But we were prepared for it. We knew, keep a level head,
Hmm.
and just keep playing.
Yeah. So you're not the type that would get ever did you ever get like pick on or like pissed at the level here, playing here or not? Hopefully not never. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
No, I think it's very hard to get me to that point.
Hmm.
Although I can,
Hmm.
it'll take a lot.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that'll probably get me going is if you mess with my teammates, then
Yeah.
we're
Problems.
gonna have problems.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, myself, nah, it'll be
Yeah.
very hard to.
Yeah. Talking about your teammates, you mentioned a lot of them, even from your US and here in the Philippines. You praise them a lot. How about with you? Since you already graduated college, you have a ton of experience for sure compared to like the rookies or sophomores in UE. But then you were only there for a couple of months, and in any like environment or any like job, it's hard to gain the trust of people in a
Hmm.
short span of time. So how did you get their trust, and how were you, how what kind of leader were you to them for them to actually listen to you, even if you were only here shorter than like most of their teammates in UE?
Yeah, I'd say they saw it through my play. um, that they could trust me, but also off the court stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, going and hanging out, just doing stuff with them off the court that would make it fun the next day to see each other and talk about and have a good day at practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they practice was always fun. Don't get me wrong. Like we were very intense. We knew, we're going at it. We're pushing each other. But after, it's always hugs and like, hey, like
Mm-hmm.
you got me, but I'm gonna get you next time type of
Yeah.
vibes. So it was. I think that's one of the best ways to build trust, and that's the way we did it at UE. Um, I got to. They taught me a lot about the Filipino culture.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of first experience with them, and they were able to, be a part of that. And like to this day, we talk a lot about those stories, and it's always great to reminisce and things like that. But just certain stuff like that that makes it easier for the on the court stuff to be easier.
Okay, yeah. Speaking of you, the first, like, what's a memorable one or also an unmemorable one you did? Like, first thing you did as a
and
Filipino, like here in the Philippines.
an unmemorable one, I would have to say, is them trying to get me to eat balut.
Okay.
That one was they were trying everything to try to get me to do it, and I still won't do it. I
Yeah, yeah,
won't.
yeah.
But I would say a good one um, would have to be just trying local foods with them. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't usually eat.
Mm-hmm.
Baloo, it's off the table. Like I'm not doing that. But other stuff like I've come to love sinigang.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's
good for
always
sure.
something good that
Yeah.
I love now. Other stuff too. Um, but just doing stuff like that, I would
Mhm.
say is was good experiences that I'll carry.
Yeah, that's great camaraderie that they showed to you and welcoming you to the community, and it also helps that it also translated into the court for sure, and it showed also with some of your games last season,
Mhm.
like playing against LaSalle. So why do you love playing against LaSalle so much that you beat us twice last season? Like what? Yeah, I mean you that was two wins. I mean that's why we didn't make it to the final four. I mean if we won at least once, we would have made it and not tied Adamson already, but on a
Yeah.
serious note, yeah, like, what like, keeps you up for LaSalle games, especially the last one when we were already up by like double digits and you guys still won in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, that last game was just more for us. We
Mhm,
knew we were already out of playoff contention. We knew, um, what was at stake for LaSalle.
mhm,
Um, and obviously, we hope for them. We hope the best for them. But at the end of the day, this is a sport where there's one loser and one winner, and we didn't want to leave that season with a loss.
mhm.
We wanted to cap off what we thought was a good season for us, especially considering the year we had before. Um, and finish with a bang. That was our ultimate goal. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry it happened that way. As
Yeah,
getting interviewed by
all good.
LaSallian, but
Yeah.
that those were the games that were very memorable, just because. Um, like I said, I didn't come in knowing the landscape. I didn't know it was UP LaSalle Ateneo.
Yeah.
So being able to give that to the UE community was like, man, it was amazing.
Mhm. Why do you think you guys had an advantage over LaSalle? Like, was it a matchup thing? Was it just the grit, resilience? Like, why do you think you beat them twice?
Um, I wouldn't say an advantage. I would just say it's just the way the ball rolled. Basketball is anyone's game. Any day, anything can happen.
Mhm.
And I think that day we were just a better team. Um, but yeah, no, I mean that's how basketball works. Sometimes you come in as a better team, or you think you're gonna lose, and it comes out the other way around. So
Mhm.
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. How about with UE like this season? Are you able to watch their games? And I interviewed Ray Remogat actually like last week, and we talked a
Okay.
lot about their games and how he's elevated his play now from not playing getting a lot of minutes last season. Now he's a mythical five. I think he'll make it to the mythical five because his stats did go down from round one. So I think
It's
he'll make it.
crazy.
Yeah, top five for sure. So what are your observations from the team this season? Because even if they didn't make the final four, they took another step up. You could see that whoever they play, they're in the game. They almost beat UP. They almost beat LaSalle also. Like they're
hmm
always with the top tier competition. So what? Yeah, what have you seen with the team?
I think that the people who sat out last year and took the back seat are
Mhm.
finally stepping up. Ray is the obvious one. He's going.
Yeah.
The work that he's putting in is finally showing. Um,
Mhm.
Wello, Lingo Lingo, he's
Yeah,
having a great
shooter.
year.
Yeah.
Um, Precious coming in as a rookie, that's doing good. Jack is doing good. Um, I can keep. I know Abdul is holding it down as a captain.
Yeah.
So I would say, um, that they're finally starting to shine, and
Mhm.
they're seizing the moment when it has to be seized.
Mhm.
They're not backing down, and they're taking full advantage of the opportunity that's in front of them.
Mhm.
And I always try to, um, it's a little hard with my schedule with them playing in the afternoons and our practices with rain or shine, but I'm always trying to
Oh, it's the
watch their
afternoon also.
games or,
Mhm.
trying to
Mhm.
watch their games or
Mhm.
support any way I can, whether it's like a little text, like, congratulations, or like
Mhm.
tough loss, bounce back, you'll be fine. Um, but yeah, no, I'm happy for my boys, and although we didn't make it to playoffs this year, they did just as even more amazing than we did last year.
Mhm.
It was an amazing thing to see.
Yeah. How about with Ray? Like people are curious because he didn't get a lot of minutes early on last year. I'm not because you guys had the Paranara brothers, so they got
Hmm.
of course they were fantastic also. So you can't really complain. But then
Hmm.
with Ray, like when he got the opportunity, like he bounced on it. Not everyone could also do that, and he scored 20 plus against Ateneo and LaSalle in the final two games, right? And
Hmm.
then this season he's sustaining it now every game and having terrific playmaking as well. So what do you see with him in like practice with last season and also with the game now and how he's also elevated his game and expanded his repertoire?
Yeah, I think his maturity has
Mhm.
definitely evolved. He don't get me wrong, he was very mature and a very good player at practice and in the games. It obviously showed in the court. Um,
Mhm.
but I think he understood that role that he had to take on this year,
Mhm.
as being one of the pivotal leaders of the team and being that person that is going to carry the weight. And, granted to him, I always give credit where credit is due. He put in the work and it's showing, and um, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Like as a person who was a former teammate, like I love the guy, and it's nice to see your teammates shine like that and get what they deserve.
Mhm.
Um, so it's just amazing to see him transition into this part of his game, and the scary thing is that I know he has more to give, and it's gonna be an incredible time for him.
Yeah, that's true. His maturity is really exceptional now. His playmaking wasn't this like excellent last season, and
Hmm.
he's more willing to give it. He told me here that he had like said had the shooters on the team to like shoot it. Like if I pass it to you and you don't shoot it, he'll get mad at him because passed it to
Yeah,
him for a reason. Like that's how he
definitely.
is. Like as a point guard, and he's only in his what second year, so he still has like
Yeah,
3 playing years maximum if he finishes all five. And he'll be a consistent Mythical Five member for sure. But
definitely.
talking about Yui this year, I'm curious to know because I also asked Ray this that Yui was in the game and most of the games, but in the fourth quarter, that's when they'd like lose the lead or they wouldn't be able to keep it up with teams like UP. So what would you advise a team like with subpar late game execution also? Because like for LaSalle, like last season and the season 84, that's what also cost them crucial losses. Like when
Hmm.
it's when UP pressures them or when Ateneo pressures them, they don't know what to do. It's in the fourth quarter. So yeah, what's your advice to a school or a team like that?
I would have to say stick to your habits. You know,
Mhm.
when UE is doing good the first 3 quarters, um, fourth quarter comes around and it's still a close game. It gets a little bit more intense.
Mhm.
The crowd starts getting into it. You feel it from your coach. You can sense it around you. Um, but if you practice good habits in those high pressure situations, there's not a lot that can stop you.
Mhm.
So just learning how to stay calm and focused during those times, I think, would be an important lesson to learn. And I think they have been. It's tough learning those lessons on the fly.
Mhm.
Um, it's very heartbreaking, But it's sometimes you got to go through those things to get to where you want to go.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, those are some of the things I take away.
Yeah, their experience, I think, through experience, they'll be more calm and be more composed at those
Hmm.
situations. So next season, we'll see a bit of improvement for sure, at least for the UE basketball team. But I wanted to ask about your Mythical 5 selection also last season with UE. Like, did you expect to get the selection like that? Or was it more, would you say, a team award and you were like the representative of the team?
I would have to say it's more of a team award. It's I think it capped off just how good of a season we thought we had. Um, and as much as I want to pat myself on the back, I didn't pass myself the ball. I wasn't the one boxing out four
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Like it was really a team thing, and that's how I always viewed it. So it was amazing to be that representative for our team to get that award.
Yeah, that was surprising for me because I wasn't familiar with your game, and I'm like, wow, this guy is like perfect for the UAP. And yeah, your game was mature compared to a lot of the other players. That's why I believe you captured that award, and it's well deserved. And yeah, thank you
Thank
again,
you.
Luis, for joining me here in the podcast. But before we wrap it up, I asked my guests like a few questions, and one of it is, since we had like this an hour already of our interview, and you shared a lot of your stories, a lot of highlights, lowlights of your career, what are like one or a couple of things that you'd want the audience to like keep or like to learn from your whole journey, like among everything you shared, like what's one thing that you'd want them to remember from this interview?
Um, one thing that hopefully people can take away from me um, is just being better people. I wouldn't say, a lot of people view me and say like, oh, he's such a good guy, this, and that. But, I work on it every day. It's not a one day I'm a nice guy, one day I'm not. It's a habitual thing that I always try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And everything works out at the end of the day when it comes around like that. So just learning how to be selfless at times, learning when to take the opportunity in front of you seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Yeah, no, I would say that's a big thing that hopefully people can take away, and just to stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the sayings that I carry with me is, tough times don't last, but tough people do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, like with COVID, it was tough, but if you stay persistent and stay through it all, you're gonna come out the other end better. So I think that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, those are inspiring statements that you shared to the audience and to me, and I learned also a lot from you. So hopefully the audience are able to apply it also into their own life stories or their life journey. So yeah, that's a fantastic interview we had. And for the next question, if you had the opportunity to have dinner with five people, dead or alive, who would you invite?
Oh, dead or alive? Oh man, that's a good question. uh, I gotta have God in there. I gotta have
Yeah,
Jesus. I need to learn.
yeah,
Having
yeah.
that person.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Shoot, Larry Bird would have to be one.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'm just thinking basketball, but I don't want to think just basketball.
Yeah,
Um,
some people do that, all basketball, but then they want
yeah,
it to be different. They talk about like other like
yeah.
artists or I don't know, like someone like Martin Luther King, like people like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would have Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo on there.
Yeah.
That's three. Um, Shoot, that's a good one. That's a really good question. Wow, now I'm really thinking. Uh, Reggie Miller. I would have Reggie Miller on there.
Yeah.
He's a prolific shooter.
Mhm.
Um, and J. Cole.
Okay, yeah, there.
J. Cole.
That's a Yeah, mix up everything in your list, right?
Yeah, got it. We're gonna have good conversations.
Yeah, for sure. So for the final question, I'd ask my guest, since I, contacted you through social media and I contact everyone through social media or email to guest on the podcast, who would you suggest that I would guest here on the podcast and that would have a great story to tell, or someone that would be fun to talk to about sports, whether basketball or not?
Oh man, someone I would recommend for podcasting. I think Anton would be a good person to
Yeah,
have on
I had
here.
it, but then I had him like 2 years ago, or like he was one of my
Okay,
early guests. So it would be
okay,
good to
okay.
have him.
Somebody else. Let's see. Have you had Abdul yet on?
No, but then Ray also said to have him on because he has
Yeah,
like an inspiring story, like a lot of.
Abdul Sawat. That's man. He's got history on UE. Man, he would be a nice person to talk to.
Okay, yeah, that's two people that has suggested him in the past
Yeah.
week. So yeah, I'll try to get him like after the season, or so I haven't really heard much about his story. Like people haven't delved deeper into it, so that'd be
No.
intriguing to find out more about it. Make him
He's
elaborate.
he he's definitely a person who hasn't been in the limelight, but also has been a big part of UE. So
Okay.
I think he would be a very interesting guest to have, just because of the insights that he provides would be very insightful.
Okay, yeah. I hope. So yeah, thank you again, Luis, for joining me. And you have a final message before you go.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, no, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, okay. And before you go, is it okay if we take a picture?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'll take it. One, two, three. Okay, thank you again, Luis, for joining me on the pod. And yeah, see you in the PBA or in the UAAP soon.
Will do. Thank you, man.